Hi there, it's the Fanfic Train, and by God, we've done it. You can hear me. This is amazing. All the other videos, I'm like, but now, my friends, you can hear my voice. It's absolutely fantastic. I'm not in my basement trying to be subtle anymore. I'm just going at it. That's not a good phrase. Don't say that. But yeah, we're here. We're gonna do just a bunch of wrap up stuff so we can all understand really what Amnesia was about. What I wanted you to take from this, the truth behind a lot of actions, because a lot of things have like little shit hidden in, and you can't really know about it unless you watch this video, because I'm not really good with words. No, Jesus Christ, what the fuck are they doing? Just don't, okay? Just don't. Okay. Can you guys just quiet down for 5 freaking minutes so that I can just do this video and life will be great? Is that fine with everyone? Okay. Okay, then I'm gonna do it, okay? Okay, so we're gonna get started with the top 5 best kept secrets in Amnesia. They're not really best kept secrets. They're just little, if this was a video game, I'd call them Easter eggs. They're not really Easter eggs. They're just things that happened at one point, at a couple points, I guess. Whatever. So the first one is Natalie. And you can actually see Natalie super friggin' early. I'm not sure if you guys remember, but in the episode where the ASC does like the quote unquote haul on that building or whatever, and CL trips and like sets off the alarms or whatever, and all the police get called to that area, and Shuga is standing outside by the police car going, why the fuck am I here? When that happens, Natalie's actually in that episode, and she comes up to him, and she's the one, his personal assistant, that like talks to him and just being absolutely redonk. So Natalie is actually named after my best friend. My best friend's name isn't actually Natalie, but surprisingly, on a couple of different instances, supply teachers have been in our class and will just misread her name. It's not hard. It's like, it's just not hard. Like, she says it's Russian. I think it's a typical white person name. We get into a lot of fights about this, but she just gets called Natalie all the time by supply teachers, so it just kind of stuck. So Natalie is named after her. The second one is when Jungkook gets oh wow, nailing it. When Jungkook gets captured, the protagonist makes a comment about him having 4th period French, and that's because I had 4th period French when I was in grade 10, and that was the time of my life when I was writing that section of the fanfictions. I was in grade 10 with 4th period French. So just a little tidbit. So the third one, Mark/PJ, and there'll be more on that later. He had a friend, and that character would eventually become Jimin in the original story, but Jimin's original character wasn't in the family, and he had like 4 or 5 lines like total, and probably entirely in 1 or 2 scenes. Like, he wasn't important at all. The next one's dumb. So the 4th one is that most characters have said you literally had one job at one point or another, and that's because that's my catchphrase. You can actually look back, and it's happened a couple times. It's really dumb, but I can't stop myself. And so number 5 Woozi's character was actually almost cut. And that was because there were so many ASC members when I started writing it in the Alpha Squad. Like, there was DK. I'm trying to remember who else had it. There was a lot of people, though. There was like 10 members, and I cut it down. I'm like, when the fuck am I ever going to be able to fit all of these people into one freaking slide? So I actually nearly cut him out, but then I decided to leave him because I thought, 6 members was a pretty good size. So the ASC was founded by Namjoon's grandfather, like back in the day. And his father, or his grandfather, I should say, started off as a gangster, and he was coming in and out of prison, and he continued to learn more about how to properly perform like drug deals, how to kill people, and like get away with it. So he eventually had enough money and enough of a rep to start a gang of his own versus just being stuck into another one. And once he became a gang leader, he decided, you know what, I'm already making like a ridiculous ton of money, might as well just make more money. So he started off by buying a small building, and he slowly expanded until the company was like worldwide. And then when the grandfather died of natural causes, he just passed it down to his son, and it continued respectively until it was in Namjoon's hands. So Amnesia has a lot of back characters, and they're all super duper crucial and important. And I wanted to spend a little bit of time just highlighting why they're important, why they feel the certain ways that they do by their families, why they're treated different ways by fellow members. So we'll start off with Rain. Believe it or not, Rain got his nickname because in the rain he was found by GD by a dumpster. GD had been practicing performance drills at the time, where essentially it was raining, so they're like, okay, these kids are going to be agents one day, they're going to be our future, we should get them experience on running on wet ground so they'll be good one day. And so as they were doing it, GD heard Rain crying. Of course, it was called Rain at the time. We found him and sort of quote-unquote recruited him, and then he was nicknamed Rain for being found in the rain. So Woozi got his nickname because he was really clumsy as a kid, and when they rescued him, he just kept falling over. Like, he couldn't stand up straight, and so they thought it was because he was dying, because he was found after a car accident, and he had been impaled by a tree that had killed both of his parents. So they're like, oh my god, like, this kid's bleeding to death, might as well take him, he's an orphan, we can probably use him to become a good agent one day. But no, he's just really clumsy. Once more, becoming one after my own. So GD's a little bit messed up. So GD was raised by one of the receptionists after he was dropped off at the base of the infant. And because their base is secret, his entire existence is something of a mystery. Like, no one knows how the base was found, how the mom was able to bring him there, and like what happened, essentially. No one really knows about that. And his first words were "good day." Because that was all he ever heard when he heard the receptionist say time and time again as she would pick up the phone. And so he would just, this tiny little baby would just walk around saying good day. And by the time they determined he was old enough to speak and walk, they also determined he was old enough to begin training, so he was removed from the receptionist's care and was placed into a dorm room with a bunch of other young children who were also orphans. In order to learning how to become an agent, and for several years, he never said anything other than good day, because he was just so terrified, because the receptionist was the only nurturing figure he had ever known, and then he was thrown into this new environment where he didn't have anyone he could trust to look after him. So he earned the nickname GD from that, and he knew English. Like, it wasn't like he was just like, bye suckers, no English, bye. He knew it. He didn't want to speak it because he didn't trust what he was hearing, and he didn't trust anything else. And he never actually began to speak actual sentences until he started befriending Rain. So CL, as always, fucking CL, is the snob of the squad. She was sent to the ASC by her rich parents who wanted a daughter that would be capable of anything. And she's really the only ASC member with parents that are still alive, because keep in mind, Namjoon's mother died at birth. And then his father died of sickness a couple years later. Woozi's parents were killed in a car accident. You know, Rain was abandoned. GD was abandoned. So she's the only person who still has parents. And like, she's kind of a snob. And she was nicknamed CL because all she was willing to wear when she first came to the ASC was Chanel. And they're like, no, like, you gotta wear suits, bud. And she was like, nah, purses. Or whatever Chanel sells. I don't know. It sounds expensive. So now we're gonna actually get into things that I mentioned, and then I mentioned them, and they were like kind of a big deal for like 5 minutes, and then we all forgot about it because people were getting shot and there was guns and everything. And this goes back super friggin' early. Like, I'm going to be talking about the bet, quote unquote, and graffiti. And these are like episode 3, episode 4, maybe episode 5. I'm pretty sure it was all before episode 4 though. So for starters, let's do the graffiti. So I'm not sure if you remember, but this is when she runs into Jungkook in the hallway, and he goes, hey, can you show me where the bistro is? And she goes, nope, can't do that. I have important business to deal with. And that's when V comes in, and he's like, yo, like, that's my hoe, like, back off. And he corners her. And he starts to mess with her or whatever. And that's when the secretary, I think, comes in. I don't remember. She was old. I remember that. And she goes, hey, kids trying to put things where they don't belong. Come down to the office. And Jimin is there. And everyone's like, yo, Jimin, like, what the fuck's going on? Why are you here? And he goes, someone freaking spray painted my name on the back of the gym doors. So everyone, it was a big deal for like 3 minutes. Everyone's like, ooh, graffiti, spooky. And then we never talked about it ever again. And actually, I already tried a little bit frantically to have V cover up and like tie up a bunch of loose ends. Like, he mentions, or the protagonist mentions, like, hey, what happened here? What happened here? What happened here? And he goes, that was me, that was me, that was me, that was me. Or that wasn't me. Like, he talks about the slashing of the cords during the play. And he goes, that wasn't me. Or no, sorry, that was me, but that's because I was jealous. Like, I wasn't asked to do that. And so essentially, V, he had the plans ahead of time to corner the protagonist, but he was worried about interference from Jimin, so he spray painted the doors, and in all honesty, probably had a great time doing it. And then the next thing is called the bet, and it's like mentioned, like literally, it's 2 sentences long, where Jimin goes, like, did he say anything about the bet? And the protagonist goes, what? And he goes, nothing. And like, that's literally it. You never hear anything about it ever again. But there's like, the thing with Amnesia is there's purpose behind every single thing. Even if it's like someone just going, yeah, like there's purpose behind that. There's something behind that you could analyze. Like, the great thing about Amnesia is you could spend 5 minutes on like any one line and just talk about all the meaning behind it, because it's ridiculous. Like, I could do it. Like, I analyze every single episode, and it'd take me even longer than this stupid BS. So essentially, explaining the bet, now that I've ranted about just secrets in general, or not secrets, oh my god, I'm going crazy, everyone. Amnesia in general, the bet was made by a bunch of guys at school, and essentially, because the protagonist is this quiet, shy girl who like doesn't really fuck around, she doesn't talk, she's not particularly smart, she's not particularly dumb, she's just sort of average. And so everyone wanted to see if they could like get her to turn up and get like absolutely crazy. And so before they knew like exactly that Jimin was her brother, they had just sort of instantly told him about it, and they're like, yo, like, we're all trying to get into the protagonist's pants, you win. And then it was only after they figured out that they like let him off. But Tae's in, because he's a jerk, of course, but he also has to keep his undercoverness going. So when he heard that they were fighting, he instantly assumed that Tay had mentioned the bet and that he had hurt her feelings by talking about it. All right, let's take a little breather. Ugh. Okay, what's good down there? What's good? Oh, yeah. Yeah, no. Wait, what? Jimin, I swear to God. Look. I write fan fictions, okay? This is kind of my thing. And you might think I have all the power in the fucking world. Because I do. Bye! He's in a better place. Oh, he's with Mark now. They're having fun. Do you want to go too? Okay, guys, stop freaking out. They're back, okay? They're back. You're messed up. Oh, hey, Mark. What's good, boy? Okay. He didn't want me to talk to him anymore. I did it. I'm literally the best. All right, everyone, shut up. I'm gonna finish this video. Okay, good talk. So it's been mentioned a couple times, but Amnesia was originally a book, like a book, and all the characters had names. And this is sort of what I'm gonna get into is what they were originally called. So starting off with Jin. Jin was originally called Kieran Jensen. Yoongi or Suga, God, I hate when I say his name, was originally Jared Terrell. I don't know how I did this. I didn't mean to. But Hobie's original name was actually Kobe. And that was totally unintentional. It was one of those things I only really realized when I was sitting down filling out this section, is that they're pretty much identical, except Kobe is spelt C-O-B-Y instead of H-O-B-I. So, little differences. PJ was Mark's original name. Taehyung, that one was bad. His name was originally Greg, and he was going to have an undetermined secret name, probably G, because I'm not very original. And then Jungkook's original name was Evan, and it was gonna be a time and a half with Evan, but then he had decided to be lame and become Jungkook, so sucks to suck. So next I want to talk about what Jungkook was actually doing in the forest when he was captured by the ASC. And this sort of takes a little bit of backstory. You have to have seen his story about Lisa and how he grew up in that sort of situation, how he was really teased as a kid, and Lisa became super duper popular and she sort of saved him. You need to know that to understand why he was in that forest. So if you've seen his ending, you know he's like a hyper alcoholic. Like he can't stop himself. And you can see in the backstory when he's at the party and they go out back to do the ping pong, and this is like such a minuscule detail that you wouldn't even notice it, but there's a bunch of trees out back, and because Lisa's house was like on the edge of a forest, and so that was her childhood home. That was where he used to go all the time. And so of course when Lisa died, the family sold the home and they moved because they couldn't bear to be somewhere, you know, where the daughter was all that time, and then she just wasn't there anymore. So of course he can't go visit those trees anymore. So he drinks whenever he's stressed, and he drinks pretty constantly. To quote from his ending, "I can't stop." And he likes to drink when he's surrounded by the greenery because Lisa's the one who got him to start drinking. So that was why he was in the forest, and then he got like really turned up, and he got... So now I want to talk about why that list of names and locations and like addresses was actually stolen, because when you think about it, the ASC really couldn't give two shits about who Suga is. They couldn't give two shits about who J-Hope is. All they want is the protagonist. But there's actually a very specific reason. There's a couple of reasons actually as to why they wanted to do it, and why not only did they return the key to his house in that manner. Like, there's just a ton of reasons behind it. So for starters, the name theft. The first biggest reason is, of course, data on every agent. It's easier to track and manage threats. So if they know, you know, this agent has left their house, they're probably going to, you know, the protagonist's family's home. Maybe they're going to do something different. So they were able to manage every single agent, see when's the best time to strike, when they can go into the house, when they can come out, and just sort of all that convenience. And of course, I should add, V is the one who found the address to the home. He just followed her home one night. It's not really super sketch. The second one is it's a threat, essentially. By stealing that list of names, they pretty much slapped the government in the face and went, "You're not safe. None of your workers are safe. All of you who are working on this case are at risk now." And it was meant to make them panic, get them a little bit flustered so that they might let down their guard a little bit. And the third one is sort of to kickstart her memory. And this mainly comes from the note. So the lavender was not only to show that they had been to Hobie's house very, very recently, and to guarantee that they were the ones who had gone in, trashed everything, gotten the list, and then left. But it was also a future reminder, or a further reminder. Oh, I can't read. Because back when they were dating, the protagonist and Namjoon, he used to buy her flowers all the time. So it was like supposed to be a little, see like, "Oh look, we brought you flowers. Who's the only other person who has ever bought you flowers?" Sort of thing. Okay, so we're going to talk about what happens to everyone else after the endings. And I didn't put this into the original videos because they were already kind of long, and I realized I probably could have done it through Ratmons, but I didn't. I feel like it'd be weird to have like an explanation at the end and then not in any of the other ones. But we're going to talk about what happens to everyone else. So in Ratmon's ending, Tay stays in the ASC, but he transfers to another branch, probably Paris or somewhere else. So that way he doesn't have to see the protagonist and Ratmon every single day. Suga and J-Hope are transferred to different departments of the government, and everyone else just tries to live their life as normal as possible. They move on. You know, Cookie moves on. He probably gets married one day, has a couple of kids, and they all just sort of move on as best as they can. Mark and Jimin just continue to live their lives as best as they can, and so do the family. We'll do V's ending next. So in V's ending, Namjoon makes Woozi second in command. Rain and Judy get happily married, and the protagonist's family eventually comes to accept Tae as a new member of the family. To finish it off, J-Hope and Suga are eventually transferred to a different department of the government as well. For Hobie's ending, and this is standard from now on, I should add that Namjoon realizes he can't be overbearing forever, and he lets the protagonist go as he and Tae move to New York to continue working in the ASC, with Tae becoming the second in command. So that's standard from now on. I'm not going to repeat it 5 more times. It's too many. I'm not going to repeat it for Yoongi's ending and Jin's ending. Just know that after this point, that's what's going on with those two. So I think it was on Hose's ending. Whatever. On Hobie's ending, Yoongi eventually distances himself from J-Hope and the protagonist, and he becomes a senior officer in another rank, so on and so forth. The family continues to live. They're happy because their daughter is still with them, so on and so forth. So then for Yoongi's ending, essentially Jin probably dies alone in this ending, as he probably does in most of them. Jin's very damaged, and you can see this a lot. He's never really felt love from his family, and all the love he's ever felt from girls that he's dated, the girl he got engaged to, it's all been for his money, and no one's really seen him as a person, so he probably dies alone in this ending, as he does in every ending other than his own. But his family, or in Yoongi's ending, the family is pleased that she's found a sensible husband. Hobie helps her out one last time by getting her a job in the trading industry before he transfers to another branch of the government. And Yoongi doesn't get fired. He gets to keep his senior rank. So, like, props, boy. Woo! Okay, so from now on, this is another thing. That's why I did it in this order. From now on, not only is the Namjoon, letting the protagonist go so he can go to to go to New York with Tae and so on and so forth. Not only is that still standard, but now so is the transfer to another branch, J-Hope and Suga. They both start working in different departments. Like, instead of being the protection services, perhaps they're doing, I don't know, Parks and Rec. I don't know. They're in a different department, okay? Trust me on this one. I know it. Okay, so from Jungkook's ending, they don't really visit, like, Jimin and Mark and her mom that often anymore. Of course, because it's kind of weird for Cookie and Jimin. But when they do go, everyone's super duper friendly. There's no, like, hard feelings or anything like that. And they're very welcoming. So for Jimin's ending, things just sort of eventually mellow out. Everyone understands that the bond they have is unbreakable, and they sort of let them be. And everyone who got rejected sort of moves on with their life as they respectively should. So I think, the last one is Jin's ending. So after everything sort of blows over, Jimin learns to accept his quote-unquote sister's decision to date the teacher, because he realizes that Jin is one of the very few people that can actually make the protagonist feel at ease, and he can make her laugh and happy and feel safe. So that's why Jimin sort of agrees, hands off. And once again, Cookie just moves on. That's how it is. So let's talk about Woozi's ending. And once again, I am waffling for time as I usually do. So in all honesty, Woozi's ending is gonna be a shit show. It's an absolute shit show. Like, I could read you some of it. It's absolute bullshit. There's a "that's what she said" joke. It's very much my humor. It's very sassy. It's messed up. It's messed up. I'm just looking at it now. One of my favorite lines is the protagonist goes, "Are you fucking crazy?" And he goes, "Nope, just regular kind." So it's a stupid joke. It's very much my speed, though. So dumb. But that's coming out at some point after the release of Secrets, which I am very much still working on, but we won't talk about Secrets now. We'll get into that later. And so I guess after this point, let's just talk about Amnesia as a novel, what it was originally like versus what Amnesia was now as a fanfiction. So I'll start off by saying the plotline is pretty much entirely different after like Jungkook moving in. Like after that point, the plotline is completely different, which is weird because I put a lot of effort into writing Amnesia the first time, and I just threw it all out the window. There originally was not 7 love interests. There was originally a love triangle, and it was between Evan, or Cookie's character, and Namjoon's, who was actually never named. And some of the stuff did happen. That's a lie. It wasn't completely different. Like, Jungkook's character, Evan, was supposed to be caught at one point by accident, and they just thought he was important, so they took him, and they get there, and the boss is like, who the hell's this kid? And so the protagonist made the deal that, you know, I will work as a proper agent if you let him go, because he's innocent. He won't be of any use to you if he's dead. He won't be any use to me if he's dead. He won't be any use if he's alive anyway, so his life really doesn't matter. Just let him go. He doesn't know where he is. There's no point. And the ending was actually very, very different. And this one, there's like a huge final showdown. The building's about to collapse. And just, that's sort of it. The original ending, however, was that they're in the middle of transferring from one base to another. So I guess that's also similar. And she barely manages to escape. And she finds her way to civilization. She's able to make it back home to her agent, and she wants it destroyed because she knows that the leader is out to get her. He's absolutely mental, and you know that he cheated on her and everything. And so when she goes to her agent and she says, I need you to get me out of here, she's taken to a radar camp. And that's wow, I read that really wrong. She's taken to an off the radar camp, sort of like a refugee camp where you know, people who are wanted by serial killers would go, so on and so forth. However, of course, something has to happen. But the way that this one ended, there was no real opportunity for it to do. And I guess after that, I only have 2 more things to cover. This is my author's note, and also, who remembers this picture?
Hold up.
But if you can see this lovely, lovely, lovely screenshot, I had to say this as touch the moment. So little high fives all around. Woo, we did it, boys. We officially made the worst joke of a fucking century. Everyone's gonna take my bow, and I will see myself. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about Amnesia overall. This is going to be sort of my final author's note about Amnesia overall. And I want to start off by saying thank you for so many people subscribing. I think it was over 700 in the end. I'm just looking it up right now, but it was definitely quite a few of you. Yeah, so as of me recording this right at this exact moment, I have 757 subscribers, which, by the way, what the frick? But, like, also thank you. That's a lot of people, and especially considering Amnesia's my baby. I've mentioned this a couple times, but I've been writing fanfictions for 5 years now, maybe more, and Amnesia is one of the ones I've had from even before I started writing fanfiction. It was just a story I had in my head that I wanted to share, but I didn't know how I was going to share it. And it was one of those things that I nurtured for several years, thinking about, what would happen to the protagonist to make it more interesting. What would happen? How would she feel when she finds out that she's cheating on? How would she feel as she falls in love with him, only to, once again, only to figure out that he's an absolute scumbag. Stuff like that. And of course, it's just one of those things where to see so many people come to love Amnesia in the way I love Amnesia, and I baby Amnesia so much because it's really the first story I've ever written by myself. It's the first one I've ever really come up, I've written original stories before. I should proceed that with this, but Amnesia was the first one, and even now, looking back on it, out of all the stories that I've written, Amnesia will always be my favorite, because I've mentioned this a couple times, but I could just talk for hours about all the important things that happen, all the crucial little details in one person's sentence. It's just, there's so much to talk about, and that's why I love it so much, because it's so incredibly in-depth, and you can tell because I've known the story for 6-7 years. It's one of those things where, unless you've been thinking about a story for so long, you wouldn't have this many twists and turns and facts about every single person. I should also mention that Woozi's popularity really took me by surprise. Like I said earlier in the video, unless you skipped to this point, in which case, hi! Woozi was originally cut out of the original script. I never, ever expected him to be so popular. Woozi, his entire character's purpose in the story is just to push the protagonist in the right direction. That's all he's there for. Dee and Rain are meant to be sort of the lovable goons that are all over each other. They also help push her in the right direction, but not as much. It's hard to explain. V is very involved. So V tries to push her in the right direction, but V is too involved in everything that's going on. So she can't really go to V for help all the time. And Rain and GD, she's not super duper close with them, but they're there and they have very specific purposes. And Woozi, on top of that, was supposed to be the one. She is close to him. She can trust him with everything. And he is smart and logical and can push her in the right direction. That was what Woozi was there for. And at the end of the day, Woozi ended up becoming a little bit of comic relief. But I didn't really expect him to be super popular. I look back to the first couple of episodes with Woozi in them, and people are like, "Oh, straight savage!" It's Woozi. And I think the reason why it caught me so much by surprise is Woozi is very much written like myself. Woozi is over the top. He's absolutely ridiculous. He's savage. He's rude as hell. Personally take offense to everything Woozi says. And I didn't expect him to be popular because he's not really that important. And he's just meant to be me, essentially. If I was any character in the series, I would be Woozi. Because Woozi just doesn't give a fuck about anything. That's his thing. And it's just the fact that he became as loved as he was kind of shocking for me. And I guess sort of the last thing I want to wrap up on is Amnesia taught me a lot about video projecting. Oh, wow. Ooh, nailed that one. It taught me a lot about video production and editing and things that I wasn't really good at before. Because I've done video editing. I've done video editing for school. I've done video editing on my personal time. But Amnesia was the first time where I actually sat down and went, I want to become good at this. I want to be able to make something nice. And you can even tell, looking from the first episode of Amnesia, and then looking to even just the intro to Secrets, there's a lot more editing going on. things are synced to music now. Oh my god, the Amnesia opening is so bad. But you know what? It's fine. So I'm learning a lot more about editing and stuff like that, and I really do think it's super duper important. 'Cause even though, like, if I could go back, I would wait. I wouldn't have done secrets now. I would have, actually, in all honesty, or did I say secrets? I meant Amnesia. I wouldn't have done Amnesia then. God, I need to stop thinking about secrets. I'm like haywired into secrets right now because I'm just constantly working on it. If I could go back, I would not have done Amnesia first. I probably would have done secrets or even Undercover. Undercover is so fun. I'm not sure if I've ever talked about Undercover, but get excited for that one. Undercover is going to be very much like Amnesia. But yeah, I probably would have done secrets first just because I don't love secrets as much as I love Amnesia. And like thinking back to the first episode, I don't think I did it justice with the editing and everything. Like I feel like Amnesia deserves like a proper video, and the first couple are so bad. Oh, they're so bad. But there's nothing I can do, really. So I guess at the end of the day, I want to say a tremendous thank you to everyone who came along on the journey with me. It was a long one. It was several months. Let's see, September, October, November, December, January, February, March. So it was 7 months we were doing Amnesia, which is, to say lightly, a lot. Oh shit, I said it was coming out in March. Oh fuck, I forgot. I said Secrets was gonna come out this month. Oh shit. Okay, that's fine. We'll figure it out. I totally forgot I said that. Shit, okay. Well, in which case, I should probably get going because I need to cram and get like 6 episodes done today. But thanks everyone for watching. I don't even remember what I was talking about before I realized that Secrets was supposed to come out either today or tomorrow. Fuck, okay. I'll see you guys all soon. Alright, toodles!